My cancer-infected sister is dating my ex and she's begging for my forgiveness. My father married my stepsister's mother when I was 4 and she was 3. We've lived together most of our lives and are a family. She and I were extremely close. She developed cancer when she was 14 and was sick for about 2 years. She's since made a full recovery. During that time, my parents became understandably overprotective. They also asked a lot of me. I quit my extracurriculars so I could get a job, but the money wasn't even for me or my needs. It all went towards her medical bills. I even had to learn how to drive, but not to take care of myself. It was so I could drive her to appointments. I didn't go to dances and any fun activities I did needed to include her. I did almost all of this willingly, the exception being having to quit my high school volleyball team. I did throw a bit of a tantrum about that and was punished for it. And I think having one emotional breakdown was pretty chill given the circumstances. Anyhow, I go to college and meet my ex, Ben, when I'm a junior. We fall in love, blah blah. He and I move in together when we graduate, so we've been living together for about 3 years. We were serious until July when I walked into my bedroom and saw him effing my sister. I broke it off, tears were shed, he moved out, etc. My sister apologized at first but then backed off. I thought she was giving me space, but last week she called and asked if we could meet up. She told me that she and Ben were in love and were just telling me as a courtesy before they started posting photos online. Distraught, I left her in the restaurant by herself and did not pay my portion of the bill. She later Venmo'd me asking for the money. She told my parents, who then called me to their house, telling me how disappointed in me they are for not supporting my sister's relationship with Ben. They brought up the fact that because she had cancer as a teenager, she never learned proper social etiquette. And has a hard time meeting people. I don't buy this, in part because I've seen her socialize just fine, and since we spent a good chunk of the time she was sick together, that would also mean that I should have bad social skills as well, by that logic. They then told me that if I don't accept my sister and Ben's relationship, they may have to go no contact with me. I reminded them that I'm also their daughter and they should understand my point of view, but they are adamant that this is about me being jealous of her. For the record, I'm not jealous of her. I'm not upset that Ben picked her over me. I'm sad about the end of the relationship and do feel betrayed, but Lord knows that I don't want to be with a cheater. What I'm upset about is the fact that my sister chose Ben over me. That she slept with Ben knowing he and I were in a long-term, committed relationship, and continues to be with him knowing how much it hurts me. Does she not know that how you get them is how you lose them? Honey, it was ruined when she bought it. Now no one in my immediate family is talking to me and I'm getting messages from aunts, uncles, and cousins telling me that I'm an a-hole and a selfish beach. Edit. I've had moments where I've been resentful or upset about my teenage years. I've always thought that I did the right thing for my sister and for my family. And that time wasn't all miserable. I was very close to my sister and we made things as fun as we could. But I didn't think of it as an abdication of my parents' responsibilities or that they were doing wrong by me, which many of you pointed out. I definitely have a lot to think about. Update, sometimes you can only laugh. Just got off of the phone with my cousin who saw this post and said he could explain a few things. He told me that after my conversation with my mom, she went to his house and talked to my aunt. Turns out my sister is not only in a relationship with Ben but 4 months pregnant. Which means she and Ben were effing for longer than I had even guessed. Apparently my parents are so adamant that I forgive her because I'm already ruining their experience of their first grandchild. That's right, I'm less important than my stepmom posting ultrasounds to Facebook. This is where we're at. I called out of work sick the rest of the day and am going to drink a lot of alcohol. Like, a lot of alcohol. And then start thinking about what the F I'm going to do. Update, I got in touch with my sister and asked her to meet up again at a park. I asked her if she was pregnant and she told me the truth. She said she wanted us to still be in each other's lives and that she wanted me to be in her baby's life. A Redditor mentioned that she may ask me to be the godmother and that person was correct. But as many of you pointed out, if I didn't cut her off, I'd just become her bank and daycare employee. So I told her I could no longer be in her life. And I left her crying on a park bench and felt like the SHTest person in the world. I emailed my parents and told them how betrayed I felt and that I'd be cutting off contact with them. To my stepmom's credit, she apologized. She explained that she never thought my sister would live to have kids and that she let her emotions get the better of her. Understandable. My dad said nothing, which is honestly what sucked the worst about all of this. Ben tried messaging me from a burner account for the first time since the breakup, but I blocked him without reading it. I didn't go nuclear and post the story to Facebook as some suggested, but I sent an email to the extended family members who I care about. I explained the situation and how I'd be distancing myself from my family. Some have made it an us versus them situation, and as much as I appreciate the support, feeling like I'm in some valiant battle just makes me more tired. So I haven't been talking to much of anyone in my family. I feel lonely and crappy, but I think I made the right decision. But, if anyone in the greater Boston area wants an extra guest at Thanksgiving, let me know. I think my old ex sabotaged my relationship with my new ex. My breakup last summer with EX1 was volcanic. He's now expecting a baby with my stepsister within the next 6 weeks or so. Since I found out about the pregnancy, he's tried to get in touch with me 6 times through email/text/burner accounts, has tried to get mutual friends to talk to me for him, and showed up to my place once. The latter was the only time I humored him. He told me he was sorry, he loves me, he doesn't want to be with my stepsister and wants to get back together with me. I told him tough titties. He made his bed and now he's got to lay in it with her. I haven't dated much since July because of my life's implosion, but in November a friend from college messaged me out of the blue. We hadn't talked in a long time. He is EX2 and EX1 were good friends but had a falling out over something fantasy football related the year after we graduated, so I stopped talking to him out of solidarity, or whatever. Anyhow, we go on a date. We click. We go on a few more dates. We become exclusive in early December. I was feeling really hopeful about this until this morning. I was supposed to meet EX2 at a New Year's party last night. He got there before I left the house and texted me saying that EX1 was at the party and asked whether I still wanted to come. I declined and went to another friend's house and had a pretty good time. I tried calling EX2 at midnight but he didn't pick up. I didn't think much about it. Anyhow, I go to bed late and when I wake up this morning, I have a message from EX2 saying we're done. I couldn't even respond because he'd blocked me everywhere. I talked to a friend who was at the party the exes were at last night and he said the two of them had spent a good chunk of time chatting with each other but he didn't know what they were talking about. I'm not close with anyone else who was at the party so I don't really have anyone else to ask. Like okay, it was a 2-month-old relationship. I'm sad but I'm not bereft. But the paranoid part of my mind is really concerned that EX1 said something that resulted in EX2 becoming EX2. EX2 has made it abundantly apparent that he doesn't want to talk to me again and I don't want to push that boundary. But I'm so confused. I could contact EX1 but I get the feeling that it will open a floodgate of drama. I could also try talking to other mutual friends to see if they've heard anything but I also don't really want to spread this as a rumor if it wasn't true. I don't know. I'm at a loss. I'm spiraling thinking that my ex is going to try to ruin every relationship I have for the rest of my life. Edit. I'm beginning to think that there's something wrong with me. My last 2 partners have cheated on me. The first was a very serious relationship. We lived together, we talked about marriage and buying a house. He even took 2 pictures of us as kids and photoshopped them together to show what our kids might look like one day. The result was terrifying but hilarious and I had it as the background of my phone for a month. I walked in on him sleeping with my stepsister. Now she's pregnant, due in the near future, and he's with her. I know he's not happy. I know he regrets what he did. I know that he loved me. And none of that stopped him from effing my stepsister in our bed. I've spent so long now being upset at her and writing him off as just a bad decision that I wasted time on, but now I find myself mourning what we had. My stepsister and I grew up together and have loved each other most of our lives, so it felt like that was the ultimate betrayal. But he and I chose each other. Out of all the people on the earth, we looked each other in the eyes, committed to each other, and made the promise to stay faithful. And he lied. And he lied and he lied and he lied. And he let me go on loving him while he lied. And then a few months ago another guy came into my life and for the first time in ages I felt hopeful. I thought to myself that maybe I could actually move on and live my life. I wasn't in love with him but he was the kind of man I thought I could fall in love with. We were exclusive for about a month. Before we made the decision to be exclusive, I told him everything that had happened with my first ex and told him that I could never be with another cheater. I wake up on New Year's Day to a text saying we're done. When I tried getting in touch, I found out he'd blocked me everywhere. Turns out, he met someone at a New Year's party and hooked up with her. Instead of telling me, he just blocked me everywhere and sent a lackey to message me a few weeks later with a real story and a half-said apology. I want to be angry and maybe a part of me is. But as I'm sitting here, I'm just thinking. What if it's me? What if I'm just not lovable? What if it's never going to happen for me? The thing is, I've been a pretty confident person. I went through bullshit as a kid but I got through it and grew stronger. I'm pretty good looking, though I've admittedly put on a little weight in the past couple weeks. I've been told that I'm fun, I hold down a good job and make decent money. I also live my life according to my values. I've always put my family and partner first because that's just how I believed it should be done. And I thought that I would be prioritized in turn. I've lost most of my family because they'd rather have my stepsister's baby in their life than me. My friends have been fair weather, for the most part, and I know that I'm a laughingstock in my friend group, as much as they pretend to pity me to my face. I feel the little spark I've always had fading. I don't chime in on conversations anymore. I've stopped putting on cute clothes when I go out. I don't plan anything, so I don't have anything to be disappointed about. Soon I'll be the same age as my mom was when she died. I never knew her but I've always loved her, thinking of her. Watching over me. I don't remember the funeral but it was one of those funerals where there wasn't a dry eye in the house. She lit up a room, people told me she was a good woman. In my worst moments, I wonder what it would be like if I died right now. Would anyone cry? Would anyone care? Would anyone even come?
I can't see myself settling down with my pregnant girlfriend of 5 years. Ada? I have been in a relationship with my girlfriend for 5 years. We've had discussions about our future goals, including settling down and having children. Initially, we were both on the same page. I believed she was the one for me. However, lately, I've been feeling a sense of boredom and monotony in our relationship. Our intimacy life is great, she's a wonderful cook, and she's objectively attractive. There isn't anything inherently wrong in our relationship, but the thought of being stuck in a repetitive routine is becoming overwhelming for me. Additionally, 3 of her close friends are either engaged or married, and she keeps pressuring me about when we'll take that step. I had been contemplating ending the relationship because I found it increasingly difficult to pretend that everything was fine. However, last week, she told me that she had taken 3 different pregnancy tests, all of which came back positive. To say that I was mortified would be an understatement. Despite my best efforts to conceal my reaction, she could tell that something was off. She asked me how I felt about the situation, and I must admit that my choice of words could have been better. I asked her if the baby garbage was an option, which caught her off guard. The following 2 minutes were filled with an uncomfortable silence. After that, she got up and left the apartment. Since then, she hasn't spoken with me at all, and I assume she's considering breaking up with me. Meanwhile, her friends and family have been calling me names, but I have chosen to ignore them as their opinions hold no significance to me since they aren't directly involved in this situation. Despite me feeling free and so much better now that we aren't together anymore, I still can't help but think I might have been an a-hole. I don't simply view my girlfriend on a surface level. I wanted to highlight the aspects that appear ideal in a relationship from an outsider's perspective. Regarding my statement that she is objectively attractive, let me clarify. Yes, I do find her attractive, and I always have. However, it's important to note that she has evolved over the years. She invests a significant amount of time and money into skincare, facials, and luxury brands. She enjoys enhancing her appearance, and I support her in that. In fact, I have personally gifted her various items related to her interests. It's essential to understand that I love her for who she is as a person. The Reddit post merely touched upon 3 aspects of her identity, but she is so much more than those specific qualities. 3. We always have intimacy with protection. We got a bit too intoxicated 4 weeks ago and the condom might have not been put on properly, but we're usually very safe. I also don't need a DNA test. I'm the a-hole here, not her. Furthermore, I want to emphasize my genuine love for her. However, when my life underwent significant changes and the associated pressures began to mount, I started to feel trapped and overwhelmed. Growing up, I witnessed the instability of my parents' relationship, which has undoubtedly influenced my perspective. While she is not my first girlfriend, she is the one with whom I have had a long-lasting relationship. I recognize that these factors do not excuse my feelings or actions, but they serve as an explanation for my emotional state. I have been seeking therapy for a while, but I've been putting it off. I'll try to look into it properly now to address and work through these issues. Regarding my relationship with her family and friends, there is a mixed dynamic. Her father tends to be overprotective, which has made it challenging for us to establish a strong connection. However, we have managed to find some common ground and maintain a somewhat amicable relationship. Her mother, on the other hand, is kind-hearted but tends to be reserved in her communication. Despite this, we have managed to navigate our interactions fairly well. Over the years, our friend groups have merged, and we typically gather with different individuals from the group on a weekly basis. However, since learning about her pregnancy, I have distanced myself from everyone to process the overwhelming situation. I do not view them as bad people and I appreciate their efforts to reach out to me, even if they were extremely rude. However, I am currently feeling emotionally drained, and outside of my pregnant girlfriend, I do not feel obligated to be emotionally available to anyone else in my current state. I plan on reaching out to my girlfriend when I work out the best way to go about this. Update: I attended therapy and realized my negative feelings when it came to monotony stemmed from a lot of factors, none relating to my actual relationship. My ex-girlfriend and I had met a couple of times since. I grieve what could have been every now and then, but I acknowledge it was my own fault that I'd lost her. We've decided to remain civil for the sake of our future child and I feel she's doing much better now. Though we're not together anymore, I bring her whatever I'd heard pregnant women might need. Whether that be maternity outfits, compression socks, tea to help with nausea as well as raspberry leaf tea, pregnancy pillows, etc. I love her, but I'm not good for her. We aren't meant to be together, and I will be there for her regardless. Her friends and family still don't like me much, but I'm fine with that. I'm just doing what I can for the mother of my child and someone I care for. And fellas, a bit of advice if you're on a similar boat: no pregnant woman deserves to be abandoned even if you're not in a good mental state. Work on yourself, though it won't be easy, and step up to the plate. I've rightfully been seen as awful by the people of Reddit, but I am doing what I can as of yet and can only hope for the best. How do I tell my wife I want to be a mama's boy over her man? My marriage is on the rocks because of my mother. I need some serious help. My wife and I have been together for 6 years and have a 1-year-old daughter. My wife is an amazing mother and partner. My own mother, on the other hand, is absolutely ridiculous, and my wife has made me realize over time that my relationship with her is not healthy. My mom tries to control everything, including our wedding, which I convinced my wife to suck it up and go with my mom's idea. She is still resentful of me for it. Don't know why. It's just a wedding. There's been passive-aggressive behavior on my mother's part basically since we started dating and has made my wife absolutely hate her. I'll admit I haven't been as firm with my mom as I should have been in the past. This brings us to yesterday. Our wedding anniversary was last night. We're a little tight on money right now, being new parents and our jobs are not fantastic. So I suggested that a family friend watch our daughter, I buy us a nice bottle of wine, and we cook dinner and just relax. I could tell my wife was disappointed that we couldn't do anything bigger or better, but she agreed this was the best choice, and we settled to both be home from work at 6 p.m. I was headed home from work when I got a call from my mother asking me to come over because it was an emergency. I asked her what type of emergency it was and she just started crying frantically and begging me to come over. It was already 5:30 p.m. but I live in a low-volume traffic area, so I figured I would stop by and calm my mom down before I met my wife. When I got to my mother's house, she was literally sitting on the couch having a glass of wine and watching TV. I was livid. She was so calm too, not the frantic monster I was speaking to on the phone. I started pressing about what the emergency was and reminded her that this was the night of my wedding anniversary and she said she had some house tasks. For me to do that, in my opinion, she was 100% capable of doing herself. Things like washing the dishes, watering her houseplants, cleaning the gutters, etc. So definitely not emergency material. But she guilted me into doing them. She was literally screaming to me at one point that I was a bad son, and I texted my wife letting her know that I was going to be late because I was at my mom's house. She didn't respond to my text. Before I knew it, it was 7:30 p.m. My mom kept trying to put more tasks on me, but I put my foot down and let her know that I needed to get home. When I finally got home to my wife, she wasn't there. I was worried, so I texted and called her many times, no response. I was able to track her phone and found out that she was at her parents' house. They don't live far, around 20 minutes away. She finally got back at 11 p.m. and as I greeted her with a glass of champagne, she told me to save it for myself because she wanted a divorce. I was shocked and started breaking down. I asked her why and she said that tonight was the final straw in a long list of things that I've always put my mother first. She said that she expected today of all days to be our one time together, but even my mom is able to intervene on our wedding anniversary. I asked her what I could do and begged her to go to counseling. She is refusing. I asked her if there was someone else. She said that someone else is herself, and that it's time for her to start working on herself and stop worrying about me being able to put my mother first. She has since moved into the guest bedroom in our house and hasn't talked to me much this morning. I tried to kiss her on the way out to drop off our daughter before work and she just moved out of my way. So, how do I save this sinking ship? I'm committed to doing everything for my wife to improve this, but she says that this is past fixing. I'm at a complete loss. I'm worried that she will see, or already has seen, a divorce lawyer, and I'd like to stop this in its tracks before it goes too far. I flared this as give it to me straight because I just need people to be as honest as possible with me right now. I know I effed up, but I also need to know how to fix this. Edit, as far as I can tell, I really need to man up, get therapy, and give my wife some space. Some of the comments are brutally honest, but that's fine because that's what I needed. I've got a lot of work to do on myself and on this relationship.